video games in schools has been frowned upon forever. I remember when I was in elementary school, like 4th or 5th grade, you couldn't bring Pokemon cards in school. Yeah, you couldn't even bring Pokemon cards in school. They were being confiscated, and we just talked about how Fortnite is being teachers are asking kids not to play Fortnite during class, but at the same time, they want to implement eSports to like their intramural experience. Like, it's kind of weird what's happening.
Well, it's the same thing, right? So if you're in class, you're supposed to be learning. They have football in class. If me and one of my football teammates took a football out and started chucking around class, teacher tell us to stop. So that's the same thing. I don't see where that's going to be any different. I mean, but I wonder, like, where they're going to be putting esports in school, are there going to be classes? Are they going to go further into video gaming? So yes, there's esports. We're going to let our kids compete in Fortnite, but are you going to put a development class, a game development class, in
any kind of like electives? Like, because like if you play football, you go to weight training. That's an elective course. You have to go to weight training. Like, is there going to be like a elective course where you can learn how to program, or if you are there's going to be like paid for and like scheduled in school time to better your video game?
Is there going to be a video game theory class? Is there going to be a Fortnite class that's going to teach you how to play Fortnite? Because now it's something you can compete in, and it's something you can actually make money doing, right? You can make money playing Fortnite. You can make money playing FIFA. And so are there going to be classes for those? It'd be interesting to see how it goes. Like I started going in when we first heard the story. I do have a problem with esports in school as far as it being an issue with funding.
Yeah,
because
it's taken away from other programs.
Right. So when you're looking at like I said, the strikes recently, I think it was Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee, I think was the third state. And you saw pictures of what condition these schools were in. Non-working bathrooms, no lights, no air conditioner, no heat. I think it was Mississippi. No heat.
Crazy.
Books that look
10 years old.
Yeah, books that look like they just took out of the trash can. We look at stuff like that, and then you're like, okay, we're going to do esports. It's going to be a thing where only the richest counties are going to be able to compete. And that's going to basically wall it off from a lot of people, because I can't see a school in West Virginia buying a bunch of PCs and screens.
And PlayStations and all types of crap.
So they can set up an esports when they have problems with just getting books, pencils, pens, and paper. That's just not going to work. But when you look at like like I said, I live in Montgomery County, Maryland. It's one of the richest counties in Maryland. I can see the schools down in Bethesda and in North Potomac. They'll have a trailer in a room full of this stuff. They use iPads now that are assigned. But when you go out to some of the poorer counties, those kids aren't going to have a chance. And I think one of the things that needs to be taken a look at, and it's not just for esports, it's just in general, is the equality of the school system.
Yeah. Now I'm going to continue the conversation, but I do want to thank. I followed So Dabbed. Just followed us on Twitch. Appreciate you, homie. I will not dab for you though. Sorry. But oh, Boogie with the dab. Oh my God! So thank you for the follow. Appreciate you.
Hey, you follow us, I'll give you a dab.
Okay. But yeah, no, I agree with you on most cases. I mean, when I was in high school, like I believe it was my class. I graduated high school in 2007. My class, when I got to 9th grade, so like my first actual year in high school, was the first year that we actually got laptops. You know, and there's some schools around the country that still don't even have access to laptops. They don't have Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So it's going to be really hard to justify the implementation of video games, which a lot of people think are, you know, a distraction from what's actually being learned or what's supposed to be learned in school. It's going to be hard to justify that in a lot of cases.
Right.
So this is definitely going to be a case by case basis when it comes to the implementation of it. But like you said, it seems like only the most wealthy of districts will be able to take advantage of it in a way that isn't going to take away from other programs.
Other programs and other stuff they go, because it's the same thing, right? So if you go to some high schools have swim teams.
Yeah.
Right. Inner city schools don't have swim teams, but you get out to the suburbs, some of the richer there's swim teams. There's lacrosse is another expensive sport that only wind up in some of the more of the well-to-do school districts. So when you look at that, it's already happening. I just don't see, because it's going to be expensive, because you need equipment that's going to be need to be updated and taken care of, because it's going to wear out. You're going to need screens, you need internet access, you need the software, you need all kinds of stuff to get this off the ground. You need the space. So you need a ton of stuff to get this off of the ground. And I do applaud that,
the commission.
The commission for the forward thinking and looking forward and preparing students for what's going to be probably a bigger deal than it is now.
Dude, like eSports is a valuable career path these days.
When you look at the Overwatch League, the NBA 2K League, we just talked about that. There's the FIFA League, there's Forza, there's Dota, League of Legends, Halo. I mean, all of these games have leagues. There's literally hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And Rocket League is another huge one. And so I like the forward thinking. I just worry about how the
less fortunate districts are going to handle that.
And it's not even necessarily less fortunate, because if you look at, you go to a small town, a small school. I mean, I should say not just.
Yeah.
It's not just the small, because if you go to a small town, like, okay, I live in Maryland. It's called Damascus. Damascus, Maryland. It's a small town. We have two elementary schools, one high school, one middle school. I think it's what it's here. And, that small amount of people, when you get to the high school, it's not a ton of people. I think the high school is like 800, 900 people. It's not a ton. But when you go to an urban high school where there's 4,000 kids, 5,000 kids, getting enough equipment is just not financially feasible. No. So that's another group that's going to be left off, right?
Yeah. So it's one part, forward thinking, but definitely some kinks are going to have to be worked out in order to make this like a real thing across the board for the majority or a lot of inner city schools.
Right.
So I think it's both a good thing, but potentially a bad thing if it takes away from essential programs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and our teachers aren't getting paid enough as it is. Then you're gonna have to have teachers that are gonna stay after and kind of like chaperone these kind of things, or are they gonna bring in experts, or are game developers going to start going on like high school tours? There's a lot to think about.
Right.
When it comes to this,
to get these things off the ground,
to get it off the ground, and to get it to a point where it's maintainable, and to a point where it's valuable.
Right.
Because there's no point in bringing in esports if it's not going to be organized. You just got a whole bunch of kids just playing video games after school. I don't think that's going to be. It's not going to justify all the funds that it's going to require in order to get to make it happen.
Yeah, to make it, like you said, functional.
Yeah.
And useful.
Yeah. Yeah, because I could see plenty of kids entering into these programs and going pro, dude. I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way it sits is just like any other, just like football, basketball, baseball.
Exactly.
It's just the same way. You do well, you get somebody to take a look at you, and you're a pro. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that, because that's somewhere we're going, especially with people and their concern, especially with football, they're concerned about injuries and long-term damage to your health.
Yeah.
When you look at those concerns parents have, a parent now would be more likely to say, okay, I don't mind Johnny playing Rocket League.
Huh?
I'd much rather him play Rocket League than him playing football and scrambling his brains.
Yeah.
So I like I said, the option being there is great. It's just how well they can implement it and how broadly they can implement it and how fairly they can implement it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say on this topic. This is it has to be one of the most engaging long form discussions we've had in a long time. So we definitely want your feedback. So if you're looking at Boogie, right underneath him is our social media information. You can hit us up on Twitter, on Facebook, and let us know what you think about esports in high school. Of course, just like with any sport, the kids are going to have to maintain good grades, right. Otherwise they're out. That's a given. But there's a lot to be said on this topic, so I definitely want to keep the conversation going. So hit us up, let us know what you think. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, we definitely want to hear from you. So leave a comment down in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube. Tweet at us. Let us know what you think.